guys are thinking, what is this fool talking about when you clicked on the video? But before you crucify me, let me explain what I'm talking about. First thing that we want to understand is the definition of inflation. So that's when the value of your dollar goes down. So 20 years ago, $20 could probably buy you a cartload of groceries. Now $20 can barely buy you a loaf of bread. So every year, the average inflation is about 2 to 3%. So when you have money in your savings account, inflation is going to hit it. So you're actually losing money every year that you save money. So for example, let's say that you have $1,000 in your savings account for the year. Next year, it's only going to be worth $980 because inflation hits it. Now, people are probably going to say, hey, I got one of those high interest savings account like the Ally accounts that give you 2 or 3% interest when you put into it. Now, one thing that you do want to keep in mind, every year Uncle Sam is going to send you a 1099 and they're going to take some of that money. So you're still losing money. Now, I know this doesn't seem like that's a lot that you're losing, but let's put an even better example. Let's say Warren Buffett, he puts $1 billion in a savings account and lets it sit there. When inflation hits it, that 2%, he's going to lose about $20 million. That's a lot of money. Now, the rich, they don't like losing money. So what do? They don't save their money, they invest their money. So Warren Buffett, he puts his money in the stock market. It's going to give him an average of maybe 8 to 12% growth on his money. So he beats inflation every year and adds on to his money. So his money is making more money while your money is losing money. So you never want to save, you always want to invest your money. So this raises the question, why are we so conditioned to save money from a young age? So the reason why we're so conditioned to saving money from a young age, because the banks profit off of this. So this is what the banks do. You put your money in a savings account. The banks, they have the right to loan your money to other people. While they loan the money out, they're charging them interest. Now you do get a little bit of money from the bank for them using your money. It's that 0.01% interest or whatever it is to put it in the savings account. But that's pennies on what they're making off of you. So they even entice you guys to put money into their savings account. They'll have like some promotional ad of, hey, put $10,000 in this savings account, leave it in there for a year, and we'll give you $500. Now, this $500, again, is pennies on what they're going to make off of loaning your money to others. So that's the main reason why they preach to you to put your money in a savings account and save it. So what about the financial advisors? So the financial advisors, remember, they do work for the banks, or they get trained by the bank's concepts. So the concepts that they're telling you, it's still to benefit the bank. So when they say, hey, you need an emergency fund of like 6 months worth of savings, this is still to profit the bank. Now, the financial advisors may not understand the concepts that the banks are giving them is to benefit the bank, and they may kind of trick them to be like, this is beneficial to them. But remember, the banks want to profit. So just be wary of some of the advice of the financial advisors. Again, I am not a financial advisor. This is just for educational use. But I do want you guys to educate yourself in regards to seeking out financial advisors, because sometimes they don't understand the big picture. Now, I know you guys are wondering, all right, if you don't want me to save money, then what do you want me to do? Now, I want you guys to invest your money. Now, you're going to say, how do you want me to invest my money? The best way to invest your money is to actually pay off your debt. Now, I know that majority of my audience, they're going to have some form of debt, either credit card, student loans, car loans, mortgage, etc. So you want to focus the money, your cash flow. So the income that you get minus the expenses, the leftover money, your cash flow, you want to put that into your debt. Now, what you're going to do here while you're doing that, you're going to use the bank's money as an emergency fund, so you don't need to save for an emergency fund. Now, how do you use the bank's money? Easy. You apply for credit cards, lines of credit. This is free money that the bank is giving you, that they're loaning out to you. Remember, you loan them money by putting money into their savings account, and then they use it to make more money. We're going to be using that same concept. They're going to be lending us money, credit cards, line of credit, and we're just going to hold that, and we're going to keep that as our emergency fund while we invest our own money. Now, this concept does sound tricky, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a real life example on a whiteboard. So give me a few minutes, I'm going to put the whiteboard up and we'll get down to business. All right, so we got Velocity Victor, and he's ready to use these velocity banking concepts to wipe his debt clean. So we're going to get straight into business here. So we got Victor, his income is $2,000, expenses are $1,000 per month, and his cash flow is $200. So the income minus the expenses is going to equal your cash flow. Now Victor, he's trying to get rid of his payday loan of $1,000, and the minimum per month that he needs to put on there is $100. And to make things easy, all the minimum is applied to interest. So Victor's like, Charles, you know, what do I need to do here? So I tell Victor, you need to go to the bank. Victor's on it. January 2nd, Victor's at the bank and he asks for a line of credit. The bank awards Victor $2,000 for a line of credit. So Victor's like, Charles, you know, what do I do? What do I start doing here? So the first thing that Victor's going to do is use his line of credit to pay off his loan. So he's going to use $1,000 from the line of credit to pay off the loan. Now, when we do that, listen up. When we do that here, since the loan was $100 per month, what this does when the loan is deleted here, when it's paid off, it reduces our expenses by $100. So our expenses go from $1,800 to $1,700, thus increasing our cash flow from $200 to $300. Did y'all catch that? All right. So now, what he's going to do here, remember this is still January 2nd. Victor's going to get that income coming in, so he's going to get $2,000 dropping in the month of January. What he's going to do here is use $1,000 from his income and put it into that line of credit to pay it off in full. Now, when you pay it off in full, it doesn't accrue any type of interest. So he's going to use $1,000 of his income, put that into the line of credit. Now, the other $1,000 that Victor's going to use, he's going to use that on his expenses. Remember, his expenses are $1,700. So if we minus $1,000 from $1,700, we still have $700 left of expenses. So how's Victor going to pay off these expenses? Right there, he's going to pull out of his line of credit. So he's going to take $700 out of the line of credit that he just paid in the full, the $2,000 of the line of credit. If we minus $700 from the $2,000, it's going to give us $1,300. So for the month of January, he's wiped out his debt, and his line of credit is $1,300. So what we're going to do, we're going to break it down even further for you guys here in regards to what all happened in the first month, because there's a lot that happened here. I need y'all to understand this. So he takes $1,000, takes this $1,000 out of his line of credit. He applies this to the loan, to his payday loan, and he pays that off. He's paying the loan off. What this does here, this adds $100 of cash flow, $100, so $200 to $300 is added. So our cash flow is $300 now. And this minus is our expenses from $1,800 to $1,700. So that was the first step that Victor did here. Now, the second step of what he did, the $2,000 of income, he used $1,000 of that to pay the line of credit back to full, back to $2,000. He paid it off in full, used $1,000 of it. Now he has $1,000 left of his income, and he's going to apply that $1,000 on his expenses. Remember, his expenses are $1,700. So when you do the 1,000 minus the 17, you get 700 in those expenses. Now the last step of what he did, remember that $2,000 line of credit? We're going to pull $700 out of the $2,000 line of credit to pay for our expenses for the month of January, which is going to leave us at that $1,300 right there. So that's all that transpired in the month of January. So what are we going to do next month? We doing the same thing. So that income drops in. So we're going to take that $2,000, we're going to put $700 on the $1,300 that we have. This pays the loan in full to $2,000 back again, right? And then we're going to use the rest of our income, $1,300, to pay for the expenses. Now, that will leave us with $400 left. What are we doing? We draw from our line of credit right here. So when we draw $400 to pay for that line of, to pay for the expenses, we're drawing $400 out of the $2,000. It's going to leave us with $1,600. See that $300 cash flow? This happens every month, $300 cash flow. Boom. Now what we doing next month? We doing that same thing again. It keeps on coming, baby. So we're going to take that $2,000 of income. Now we only need to put $400 on there because our line of credit is $1,600 to pay that off in full. We paying it off every month, paying it off every month. So makes our line of credit $2,000. Now we got $1,600 to work with on our income. We paying our expenses. So that leaves us with $100 left on the expenses, and we just gonna pull $100 out of the line of credit. Right there, $1,900. Now, do y'all see this? In 3 months, we paid off the payday loan, and we almost have the line of credit back to $2,000. That's about 3.5 months to get it back to $2,000 right here. Now, what we doing here, I'm going to throw a real life scenario on here. So let's say in the month of March, we still got our $1,900. In the month of March, an emergency happens. Let's say we got car trouble, tires blew up, something like that, you know. And tires going to cost us $600. So what do? Remember, our emergency fund is our line of credit. We don't have no savings account. Our emergency fund is our line of credit. So we're going to draw $600 from the $1,900. We're going to be down to $1,300 for the month of March for our line of credit. But what do we do next month? You already know that income rolling in. That income rolling in. So what do we do? What do we do with the income? We're taking $700 of that $2,000 of income because we got 13 right here to pay it in full to $2,000. Right? All right. So then the rest that we have, the $1,300 of the rest of our income, we're going to put it onto the expenses. Now, our line of credit, remember, is paid in full. So now we're going to take the rest, the $400 left of the expenses, and we're going to draw it out of that line of credit of $2,000, which is going to get us that $1,600. And then next month, we're applying the same thing again. Putting that income, putting $400 on the 16, paid in full. Whatever's left on the income, we putting it on the expenses. Then the line of credit, we're going to use $100 to get it back to that $1,900. Do you see what we just did? In 5 months, we didn't pay off the loan. We didn't took care of our emergency already. And it's only May. And Velocity Victor, he still got about 6 more months to go. So if Victor has another loan, guess what? He's going to invest in the loan by using his line of credit to pay off that $1,000 loan, which is going to increase his cash flow from $300 to $400. And he just going to be knocking debt all year, just knocking it off. Now, one thing to remember, when December hit and January roll around, what happens? Inflation. So that $2,000 line of credit that Victor got, it's only going to be worth $1,960. Now, what can Victor do to combat that inflation right there? He gonna call up the banks. He gonna give a bank a call. He gonna be like, hey, listen, I've been using a line of credit, been paying it on and off, in full, every month, all month. Can I get a credit increase? You know what the bank's gonna do? The banks, they love giving money. They're gonna be like, hell yeah, we gonna give you an increase. We're gonna increase you from $2,000 to $4,000. Now, Victor has an emergency fund, a line of credit from $2,000 to $4,000. Remember, we don't have no savings account. We don't do those. So now Victor, he's ready to roll into the next year, investing and knocking out more debt. So again, if you don't get these concepts, please rewind, take notes. All right, so I'm still here with you. I'm glad that we looked at Velocity Victor and the success that he was having in 2020. But I do want to go over some common mistakes that people will be doing, thinking that they're velocity banking, or thinking that velocity banking is just so complicated you can do it this way and it's the same result. So we got Don't Listen David over here, that he don't want to study these concepts. He just want to do what he want to do and think it's going to be the same, but it's not. So a lot of people, when they look at velocity banking, they're going to do something of this nature. And I just want to show you guys on this whiteboard so you don't do it. So we got Don't Listen David. He didn't want to study. Same scenario. We got his income $2,000, expenses $1,800, cash flow $200, trying to pay off his payday loan of $1,000, and he got a line of credit. Now, what David's scared of is using his line of credit to pay off the loan, because that's just another debt. So what does Don't Listen David do? He just uses his cash flow of $200 to pay off the loan. So remember last video, we paid it off in about 3 months, just a tad bit over 3 months. Let's do David's way. So first month, he puts the extra cash flow of $200. That's 8. Next month, 6, 4, 2, 0. How many months did that take? That took 5 months. Again, he used just his regular cash flow. He did not use the bank's line of credit to pay off the loan to increase his cash flow and pay the bank back. He didn't study. It was too complicated for him. He just used his regular cash flow, and it took 5 months to pay off the debt. Please do not do this. And remember, we had a scenario where there was an emergency. Tires blew up, $600. So David ideally would not pay this in 5 months. He would it would take him 3 more months, because he's only using the $200 cash flow. He's not using the velocity banking concept. So it would take him 3 more months to get the emergency paid from the line of credit, and then he would pay that off. So we're looking at about 8 months to pay off the payday loan. Again, please don't listen David, because it's not going to work. So if you need to rewind, study Velocity Victor, please do so. But do not, I repeat, do not be Don't Listen David. All right, so last example I want to show you guys is Saving Sam. So Saving Sam is about what 99% of us do. what I've been doing for 20 plus years, what we pretty much have been taught by the banks, by the advisors, and everybody basically, of what to do. So I'm just going to give you this example, and this is why people keep being in debt and all that stuff here. So, Saving Sam, by the book, he talks to his financial advisors, and they're giving him the scoop and everything of an emergency fund to put in your savings account of about $1,000, just in case something happens. You need to have $1,000 in your emergency fund at all times. So Saving Sam has the same scenario. We're gonna still thought the same scenario. You got an income of $2,000, expenses $1,800, got a cash flow of $200, trying to pay off his payday loan of $1,000. Now, Saving Sam, he goes to the bank, he starts his savings account. Financial advisor says, hey Sam, before you start for real getting at your debt, you need to have that emergency fund in your savings account of $1,000. So Saving Sam, like, you know what, that sounds like a plan. That's a good idea. So what does Saving Sam do? January, $200 cash flow, $200 in his savings account. Next month, $400 in his savings account. Next month in March, $600 in his savings account. Now we still gonna use that same scenario of an emergency happens. Since Sam don't got no line of credit, he ain't using the bank's money. Sam, he got his emergency fund. He using his own money. So he just didn't save $600. Now his account is wiped clean because he had an emergency. He ain't using nobody's money. He using his own money. Silly. But, so he wipes out the $600. Now next month, he got to save. He's down to $200, $400, $600, $800, $1,000. All right, now he's at month 8 at $1,000. He finally got his $1,000 of savings, which his financial advisors told him just for emergencies. Now he can start chunking at his debt in September. So now he's chunking $800 of his cash flow, $200, $600, $400, $200. It's December. He almost got it paid off, but it ain't quite paid off. This is what most people do. And let's think about this. We only threw one emergency for this whole year. Do you think that he's only gonna have one emergency? Probably not. He might have an emergency in July or something. Then he gotta build his savings account up. And the debt ain't never gonna get paid. It didn't even get paid this year. It's just $1,000. Velocity Victor, he knocked that out in 3 months. Please don't be Saving Sam. Do you see why saving your money does not clear off your debt? Because if you would have cleared off the debt, cash flow would have been $300. Please don't just be using emergency funds of $1,000, 6 months, 3 months of emergency. For what? And remember, since Sam has that $1,000, that inflation hits it, he loses $20. How can he combat that? He ain't got no line of credit. He don't use a line of credit for his emergency fund. He just asked out $20. You see that? Please don't be Saving Sam. That's what we're doing. This is what 99% of people do, and this is why you're losing. So I just wanted to throw all 3 of these examples for you so you can understand, get the basic 101s, because again, 2020, we about to be winning for real. I'm not playing. So stay tuned for next video that I'll be dropping. Remember, subscribe, like, share, educate others. Let's get it started. Financial literacy.